Imagine a line, not drawn in sand, but etched in stone and earth across thousands of miles of rugged terrain. This is the Great Wall of China, a monument not built by one emperor or in one lifetime, but a colossal project spanning dynasties, a silent witness to the rise and fall of empires. Today, we journey back in time, not just to see the wall, but to understand the sweat, the ambition, and the sheer human will that laid it, stone by painstaking stone. Our story begins long before the name Great Wall was ever whispered. We're in the 7th century BC, during the spring and autumn period. China isn't a single, unified empire, but a patchwork of warring states. To protect their borders from each other, states like Chu and Yan began building defensive walls. These weren't the grand stone structures we see today. Think simpler rammed earth, packed down layer by layer, sometimes reinforced with gravel or wood. It was a technique called hangtu, and it was surprisingly effective. Imagine thousands of workers tamping down soil between wooden frames, creating solid barriers against rival armies and nomadic raiders. These were the first seeds, the scattered foundations of what would one day become the world's largest military structure. They were practical, born of necessity, and a testament to early engineering ingenuity. Then, a man arrived who would change the face of China forever, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. In 21 BC, he unified the warring states, creating the Qin dynasty and the very concept of China as a single entity. But unification brought a new, persistent threat, the Xiongnu nomadic tribes from the north. To secure his new empire, Qin Shi Huang envisioned a single, massive defensive line. He didn't start from scratch. Instead, he ordered the connection and reinforcement of the existing walls built by the former states. This was a project of unprecedented scale. Under the command of his trusted general, Ming, a workforce of staggering size was assembled. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, soldiers, conscripted peasants, and convicts. The conditions were brutal. They toiled in extreme weather, from scorching summers to freezing winters, across treacherous mountains and desolate deserts. The logistics alone were a nightmare. How do you feed and supply such a massive army of laborers in remote locations? The human cost was immense. Many perished from exhaustion, accidents, and malnutrition. Their bodies, as legend has it, were buried within the wall itself, earning it the grim nickname, the longest cemetery on earth. While this is likely more myth than fact, it speaks volumes about the suffering endured to realize the emperor's vision. The Qin Wall, still mostly made of rammed earth, stretched for thousands of miles, a formidable statement of imperial power. After the short-lived Qin dynasty fell, the Han dynasty rose, and they had their own troubles with the Xiongnu. Initially, the Han emperors tried diplomacy, offering gifts and strategic marriages. But peace was fragile. So, they turned back to the wall. The Han didn't just repair the Qin's work, they extended it dramatically, pushing west into the Gobi Desert. This expansion wasn't just about defense, it was about control. The new sections of the wall, complete with watchtowers and fortresses, were designed to protect the burgeoning Silk Road. This vital trade route was the economic lifeblood of the empire, connecting China to Central Asia and beyond. The Han-era walls featured watchtowers placed within sight of each other. A signal fire lit at one tower could be seen by the next, creating a rapid communication system. A plume of smoke by day or a bright flame by night could transmit news of an attack along the frontier in a matter of hours, a truly remarkable feat of ancient communication. Following the Han, China entered a long period of disunity. Various dynasties and kingdoms, like the Northern Wei and Northern Qi, built and repaired their own sections of the wall, but there was no grand, unified project for centuries. The wall, in many places, fell into disrepair, slowly eroded by wind and rain, a sleeping giant waiting for its next call to duty. That call came with the mighty Ming dynasty, which began in 1368. Having just expelled the Mongol-led Yuan dynasty, the Ming emperors were acutely aware of the threat from the northern steppes. They were determined not to make the same mistakes as their predecessors. The Ming Dynasty embarked on the most ambitious and technologically advanced phase of wall building in history. This is the Great Wall we recognize today as the majestic, gray dragon snaking over mountain ridges. The Ming builders largely abandoned the old rammed earth technique. They quarried massive stone blocks and, for the first time on a large scale, used kilns to fire bricks. These bricks were stronger, more uniform, and easier to transport than giant stones. They were bound together with a surprisingly effective mortar made from lime mixed with sticky rice flour. Yes, you heard that right, sticky rice. This ancient recipe created an incredibly strong and water-resistant mortar, one of the secrets to the Ming Wall's longevity. Building in the mountains presented incredible challenges. How did they get those heavy stones and countless bricks up steep cliffs? They used human labor, animal power, and simple machines like pulleys and windlasses. In some areas, they even built temporary ramps and slides. The Ming Wall was far more than just a barrier. It was a complete military defense system. It featured crenellated battlements for archers, fortified passes or guan, and thousands of watchtowers. These towers served as signal posts, barracks for soldiers, and storehouses for supplies, the most famous sections, like Battling and Mudianyu near Beijing, showcase the peak of Ming engineering. Built to be intimidating, functional, and almost indestructible. For over 200 years, the Ming poured immense resources into their wall, a final, defiant statement against the nomadic threat. But history has a way of being ironic. In 1644, the wall was breached, not by a frontal assault, but through betrayal. A Ming general, Wu Songui, opened the gates at Shanhai Pass, allowing the Manchu armies to pour through. The Mongols established the Qing dynasty, the last imperial dynasty of China. The Qing, being from Manchuria themselves, had a different perspective. Their empire stretched far beyond the wall, encompassing Mongolia and other northern territories. The wall was no longer a border, it was now deep within their own territory. Its military significance faded. The Qing rulers saw no need to maintain it, and the Great Wall, its purpose served, began its slow, final decline. What stands today is a mosaic of history. Some sections have been meticulously restored for tourism, showing us the Ming dynasty's glory. Other, more remote parts are crumbling, wild stretches of rammed earth from the Han or even Qin dynasties, slowly returning to the landscape from which they came. The Great Wall is not a single, continuous wall, but a network of walls, a collection of stories from different ages. It stands as a powerful symbol of China's enduring civilization, a monument to both immense ambition and immense sacrifice. It reminds us that the greatest structures are not built overnight, but are the product of generations of effort, each layer of stone a chapter in a much larger story. It's a story of defense, of trade, of cultural identity, and of the unyielding human spirit to shape the very world around us. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into history. See you next time.